Time right now is 6:22. Many parents know the fear that comes with sending a child to college, especially if they're attending a school in a different part of the country.
But one local family has an extra layer of apprehension with that because the daughter who's leaving struggles with clinical depression, major anxiety, and has even considered suicide. I sat down with this family to learn about their journey to the big move coming later this year, and the addition to the family they're hoping makes it just a little bit easier.
One night about 10:30 at night, we got a knock at the door, which terrified me. And it was a police officer saying that they had just gotten a call from somebody that knew Leilani and that she was suicidal.
Laura Depew cannot forget that night at her Edgerton home in March of 2020. Her daughter Leilani remembers the hours leading up to it.
That day, I had had 2 people tell me to kill myself, and I just didn't want to deal with any of it anymore. And I started thinking about, we don't have guns in our house. We have this knife, and it could definitely do some damage, was the thought I had. Those were the words I thought.
At just 15 years old, she texted a friend her deadly plans.
Had my friend not called the police, I probably would have killed myself, though.
That was the turning point.
Leilani tells me that for years, kids at school told her to kill herself.
It was weekly, almost every day.
But the details of those conversations were not shared with her parents.
Coming home crying because she's not included in things, or bodies changed at that age and her body didn't look like the other girl's body. I actually didn't realize how bad it was.
Not long after that night, the pandemic forced students to learn from home. Leilani never went back, and her family dynamic was forever changed.
It took us probably a good year and a half before we even left her alone.
Since then, Leilani has been homeschooling through Lawrence Virtual School and focusing on the things that give her comfort, the instruments in her basement studio, and her collection of stuffed animals, including the Winnie the Pooh she carries with her almost everywhere. She tells me she's better now.
I still some days will feel like I'm worthless or like people don't want me around. So I've gotten a lot better at advocating for myself and helping myself feel noticed and feel better than I did.
In the fall, she's planning to attend Utah State University, pursuing a career in deaf education. That campus is 1,100 miles away.
That's not a day's drive, that's a 2-day drive. How am I gonna get to her if something happens and she can't deal with it?
How does the last 2 years and the knowledge of what she does face and has faced factor into your comfort level of being able to say, yes, please go?
I'm still not comfortable.
Good, yes.
That, hopefully, is where Callie, a service dog being trained in California right now, comes in.
In a way, it's a little bit of a replacement of me because I can't be there with her.
Brittany Morano founded Cornerstone Companions to pair service dogs with people who need help. She trains her dogs to, among other things, retrieve phones or medicine, and even interrupt repetitive behavior that can come with depression or anxiety.
The reason I chose Callie for Leilani specifically is because she's a higher energy dog. And sometimes people with depression and anxiety need a little bit of a jump start, if you will, a little bit of a push.
Leilani, who's never had a dog, knows what else Callie can do for her.
Callie is going to be a reason for me to get up every day and to take care of her and to get outside and to go on a walk and stuff like that.
But Laura hopes Callie is also a gentle reminder to the people in Leilani's future of the weight she's working hard to carry.
If somebody has a cast on their arm, it's a physical disability that you can see. I was reading a blog that said, I wish I could just put a cast on my head so that people could physically see that I have a disability.
The family and Callie's trainer stress that Callie is a service dog, not an emotional support animal. If you'd like to donate money to help Leilani and her family pay for Callie, there's a link in this story on our website, kshb.com. Parents of college students, if you're watching, Laura also stressed to me that it's not just the dog she's depending on to help her daughter while she's away at school. She has at least 5 different friends or family members she's made plans with who can get to Leilani in just a couple of hours if necessary. Still, she says they have regular conversations on whether or not Callie should go. We want to spend a moment here talking more about how common it is for teenagers to have suicidal thoughts and exactly what those can look like. Here's what Leilani had to say on that topic.
Suicidal thoughts aren't just, I want to kill myself. It can be, no one cares about me. No one would miss me if I was gone. I don't want to be here anymore.
Leilani also gave me permission to speak to her psychologist, Dr. Stephen Lassen. He gave me some insight into what her treatment has been like over the last year plus and why parents need to know just how common those thoughts are. Remember, Leilani's parents had no idea what she was facing until the night police showed up at their door.
Is there a big difference for you when it comes to treating a person when they have made an attempt or they have just had thoughts about it? Is there a line drawn?
It's a great question. That is a very important line that has to be assessed and that really predicts a very different level of concern and potential harm. If we don't go around telling people about it, right? But when we ask people, if they've had thoughts like that, upwards of 7, 8, 9% of people have had those thoughts before. So we've seen rates, 20, 30% increases, both for adults and children, and suicidal thinking, as well as gesturing over the past 5 or 6 years. Now we have to listen a lot more than we do. To do that, we have to be willing to hear some hard things that may be uncomfortable for us to hear, and be willing to have an open dialogue with kids about this.
We also want to stress that if you or someone you know is struggling with suicidal thoughts, there is help available 24/7. Call the National Suicide Prevention Hotline at 1-800-273-8255. Again, our thanks to the Depew family for sharing their story.